Today we're going to go through and create a program to calculate the birthday party for the Treehouse Museum. Treehouse Museum is a little museum in downtown Ogden for kids, and they do birthday parties. And if you click on the link, it will show you kind of an example of their parties. They have a playtime party, which is 125 for Treehouse members or 160 for non-members, and then a deluxe story time party has a different price. I also have the chart over here in case the website ever changes, because it may. All right, so here's kind of a sample run. We're going to ask them what kind of package they want. They'll enter in their choice 1 or 2. We'll ask them if they're a member or not, and then it will calculate which price is correct. So go ahead and start Replit and log in and follow along with me to create this this little program to demonstrate control structures. And I'm going to call this Treehouse Party Planner. Okay, so I'm going to start off just with a print statement, just to say something like, "Welcome to the Treehouse Museum." Okay, if we look at our sample run, we want to ask them what kind of party package they would like. I'm just going to copy this code, not the code, the sample run. That way we could just put print statements about it. So that means I kind of want to print off this little menu here. I'm going to start up here and then I'll say enter a choice, and that will be my input statement. So I'm going to come here, put another print statement around this. And then we're just printing off a little menu for them. So 1 is for the playtime party, and 2 is for the deluxe storybook party. So far that's pretty easy. We can do a bunch of print statements. Okay, here's where it's a little bit more complex. Now we got to create our variable for what kind of party type they want. Maybe I'll call this party type. And then I want to do an input for it. But if you remember, they're entering in a number instead of a string in this situation. So while I've got my input here, I've got to make it work for a number 1 or 2. So I'm going to put this input statement inside of an int statement so that way it'll allow me to get numbers. Okay, that's the first part, and I've got what party type I've got. Next thing is I've got another menu here I'm going to print out. So I'm going to do a print statement here, and then for their options, yes or no. And then this is another input statement. This is going to be whether or not they are a member. So I'm just going to call my variable member. And once again, I have to do the int. I have to typecast it as an int. That way they can enter in 1 or 2. Okay, and I think I left the choice in up here. Enter choice. We don't want them to enter in choice 2. We want to allow them to enter 1 or 2. Okay, now the last print statement's going to be a little tougher, because here's where we got to do a few if statements to calculate the cost. Eventually, I want to print out what their cost is. So, and if I left it like this, I should probably put that $sign in somewhere, maybe over here. There we go. If I left it like this, it would work, it would run. The problem is it would always print out $275 regardless of what type of party they've chosen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with a variable, maybe my cost. Start that at 0, and I'm going to stick it through a series of if statements to figure out what the cost is going to be. Then down here I'll print out cost. So my first is, well, if the party type is a 1, then the cost is, well, it's also dependent upon if they're a member or not. So I have to combine 2 statements. I have to say if the party type is a 1 and they are a member, it's 1 cost. So here we go. If party type equal sign equals 1 and member equals 1, then that's going to define what my cost is, and I can't remember, so I'm going to have to go look back at our chart. So if the cost, if they are a member, it's $125. So cost equals $125. Okay, now the next one's going to be an elif command. Elif member means else if. So if this is not a true statement, then it's going to check the next condition. So in this case, I'll say, well, if the party type is still a 1 and member equals 2, that means I can have the other type of party, which is going to cost them $160. So cost equals $160. From here on out, I could do a little bit of copying and pasting, because not the last one, just copy it in one more time. So now I'm doing if the party type is the deluxe party, and if they are a member, let's go check out what that is. That's going to be $275. So we'll set the cost to $275. And the very last one, you can just do an else. You don't have to. Can we do an else? We may as well do. Well, what if they enter in the wrong values? What if they enter in a 3, for example? So we can have a series of elif commands without an else. That way, if they enter in an invalid amount or something like that. So what's the last one? If they want the deluxe party but they are not a member, then our cost is $350. Okay, so last I will print out their cost, and this should now work. I'm going to come through here and it's going to say there's my first menu. I'm going to enter in I want the playtime party and I am a member, so it should show $125, but I should be able to enter in multiple values, like maybe I want the storybook and I am a member, and it will print out our $275. So it's all dependent upon what they enter in on what gets displayed. Okay, go ahead and copy this URL and submit that as the example for this particular assignment.